Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Laurel Community Spotlight podcast. I'm City of Laurel Communications Director Audrey Barnes, and I'll be hosting this episode for you. We're going to be using this new communications tool as often as we can to try and reach new audiences, people in the City of Laurel and people anywhere that they can watch or listen to a podcast. What's good about the Laurel TV and Laurel City of Laurel podcast is they also will air on our public access television station, Laurel TV. So you get double the audience and double the fun, right? So I want to just tell you what we have planned today. Today, we're going to be talking about Family Literacy Day, which is November 1st. I have the perfect guest to help me have this conversation. Rosemary Crumley is with the Laurel Library. You're a public services specialist there?
That's correct.
All right. I love that. And also Ella Alonso is from the Laurel Library as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you both for being here. You guys are the pros. You come armed with stacks of books to talk about the wonderful world of reading. So let's talk about Family Literacy Day. For people who haven't heard of it, what's it all about?
So Family Literacy Day actually started in 1994, which is a lot more recent than people would think. And basically what happened is a lot of Americans were seeing that people were coming through kind of the school system and the labor force that were lacking basic reading skills, basic math skills, writing skills, and things like that were stopping them from getting complex jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the same year, Congress issued the Joint Resolution 413 that basically declared National Family Literacy Day as November 1st. So the day is November 1st, but it's actually a whole year family literacy initiative. And so the organization that runs it actually does have a calendar that's available where families can get an activity every single day to kind of promote family literacy as the year goes on.
See, that's great. And I know you guys at the Laurel Library and throughout the Prince George's County library system do an excellent job of having so many different programs all year round for families and just community members who want to enjoy the books that we offer. So tell me about the importance of establishing an early reading routine with our families. You guys probably start when the kids are basically when they're first born. You want to get them in the libraries, right?
That's very true. So it's never too early to start. We encourage even expectant parents to start singing and reading to their child because they can hear in utero. Yeah. But we have programs for expectant parents all the way up through adulthood. So we've got storytime programs for 0 to 2, for 2 to 3-year-olds, for 3 to 5-year-olds. We have a new program that's starting, and you can look for it this winter at Laurel. It's called Hatchlings. And like I said, it's for expectant parents. And so we're hoping to bring in expectant parents and teach them different tools that they can use to start actually playing with and conversing with their children. We're going to introduce books and how you share them to young babies. And they get a little gift when they come. And then we have a follow-up after the babies are born, and we have toys for the kids, and they get to meet other parents that have just had babies. So that's called Hatchlings. And then of course we have all our story time programs and things for older children as well.
Yeah. And I do just want to piggyback on that it starts early. It starts at birth. Or like Rosemary said, it even starts sooner than that, because the thing about literacy, it's not just the vocabulary, but it's the way conversations go back and forth naturally. It's the way that sounds kind of merge together. So it's not just the reading aspect, but it's all levels of literacy that we're trying to promote, which is why we have so many story times for such specific ages, because we really try to target the literacy skills that they're learning at that age. So the story time for 0 to 2 is much different than the 3 to 5s. Just because of the different skills that they have at those levels.
So can anybody join in? Do I need to have a library card? Because frankly, I'll be the first to admit, I loved having a library card when I was a kid. I mean, we all walked in with our own little library card and we got to swipe it and all that. I mean, it's kind of cool. Do they still do that in libraries these days? Do you need a library card, or can you just pop in and join one of the groups?
So I have a 2-part answer.
Okay.
You do not need a library card to come to any of the events. We do ask, if you're thinking about it, to register online. It's not mandatory, and we don't, card at the door or anything like that. We just like to see how many numbers we're expecting to get so we can plan the program accordingly if we need to get more supplies. And if for some reason the library is closed, we can let everyone know that the program's either being rescheduled or unfortunately canceled. But you don't need a library card to come in. That being said, anyone in Maryland, DC, or Northern Virginia with a photo ID and proof of current residency can make a library card. So you don't need much. If you have something like a driver's license with your photo and address on it, that's all you need to make a card. Completely free. And if your child goes to a Prince George County public school, they actually already have a library card.
Oh, wow.
It's an automatic card with a program that we do with the schools called a link account. And it uses their student ID number. So basically all they need is to know is their student ID number, and they can check out up to 3 books and access all of our online resources.
See, that's great information because I don't know if everybody knows that.
There's a new initiative as well in that the library now does not have overdue fines, and a lot of people don't realize that. And some people have been afraid to come back to the library because they might have a fine that's maybe 10 years old, and they just don't want to come back because they think, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed, I forgot to pay this fine. But we have no more library fines.
Wow, you're just trusting that people will enjoy the books, bring them back so others can enjoy them as well.
Right.
And we have seen data that removing the library cards has encouraged more checkouts. Because, if people are afraid their kids will lose a book or, maybe they're not going to have it back in time, removing those fines actually kind of removes some of that stress. And that's what we want for our patrons. We don't want them to be stressed about the library. The other thing is that if someone has a fine on their account, we always encourage them to talk to us because, we want to work with you. You know, we don't want you to be afraid of the library. We want you to come in. And if, that starts with a conversation.
Are you still finding that people are going to the library as much? Because let's face it, there's so much online. You can get books on your phone. You can do all this stuff. But I'm one of those people, I like to just go in the library and look at the books on the shelves. I sit in the library and read. Are the numbers still there? Are people really patronizing the libraries like that?
Yeah, we had a bit of a dip during our closure because of the pandemic, but we have seen the numbers coming back. In this area, computer use is actually what we see a lot in the library. We have 64 computers at the Laurel Library.
Oh, wow.
And everything from applying for benefits online to new jobs to checking Facebook, people that have now started hybrid jobs, wanting somewhere to work, people that have switched to homeschooling, bringing their kids in the library, a lot of programs that we do. So we do still see a decent amount of numbers at the library. And with the books, one, not everyone can afford to buy all the James Pattersons that come out. But also some people, what they'll do is they'll borrow it from the library and see if they like it. And if they don't like it, they'll just return it. And so they save that money.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
So let's pivot the conversation a little bit and talk about the adults in our community who might need a little reading support. Not everyone, is the best reader. So if you are an adult and you'd like a little literacy support, does the library offer programs like that?
Yeah. So for the adults, we kind of move away from the structured program just because generally we have found adults that struggle with literacy don't like kind of working through that in a group setting. It can be embarrassing for people. And so we try to kind of tackle those one-on-one. So encouraging people to come to the library to talk to a librarian so we can kind of see where you are in your literacy journey and kind of tailor it that way. We've also found that adults have busier schedules than children, so doing a dedicated program or a dedicated time is sometimes difficult. Surprisingly, the thing that we tell adults, which is the same thing we tell kids, is to read what you like to read your interests, because that will really carry you kind of through some of those rough patches with reading. If you're interested in what you're reading, if you want to read it, that'll really build confidence.
That is awesome that you guys offer that support. I think that's very interesting and very good for the community to know that it's available. So what about people who speak English as a second language? Does the library have any support for those groups?
We do, actually. We have English conversation clubs, and we have beginner level, advanced level, and we have them in person, but we also have them virtual as well.
Okay, so if I'm a Spanish speaker, I can go to the library and get a little support there too.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and I noticed you were telling me before that there is a phone number, and we're going to give all that information at the end. But even for people who want to hear some of the information in Spanish, that's available.
Yes. So we are doing a model of our phones where we have one number for all of our library branches. So you don't have to worry about trying to find your local branch. You don't have to worry about, well, I registered at this branch and then I'm going to another branch. Just call the library and one of the Prince George County librarians will pick up. But there is an option, the second option, that we call Biblioconsulta. And that goes specifically to a line manned by our Spanish-speaking staff members. So if you are interested in a library program or a service and Spanish is your primary language, we have Spanish-speaking staff that will talk to you on the phone. And there are our own employees throughout the library system. So they're your local librarians, and they're there to help.
Okay, that's great. We're going to give all that information at the end for people who might need it. But now let's talk about some fun stuff. You guys came in with your books. So I'm hoping you picked out your favorites or just some mainstays that families should consider. So who wants to start? Tell me, just like pick a book and tell me why you think it's a good one for our community.
Okay, I will. The stack that I brought really is geared for the youngest of our customers. I started with this one. It's a black and white book called Toys. And this board book is actually for our youngest little infants. Research shows that babies see contrasts first before they see colors. And so that's why we have a collection of black and white books for our very youngest. The board book actually is built for babies to use. They can chew on them, they can drop them, they won't tear, they won't break. So we have a huge collection of board books for infants through 2 years old. We also have, you were talking before about family literacy. We have books where you can actually play the book and read it at the same time, which some parents might enjoy that as well. So we've got that for our youngest readers.
Is that working? Is that active? I want to see what that sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Let's turn it on.
That's cool.
And
Wonderful. Get started. Press the orange play button now.
Okay, that's too much fun.
Isn't that great?
That is too much fun. Okay, now you're helping me with my Christmas shopping.
Well, I was going to say, if you remember kind of those books on CD where you'd have the CD and then you'd have the books, this is just the new generation of them.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's great. So Charlotte's Web, who doesn't know Charlotte's Web, right?
oh, Charlotte's Web is my childhood favorite. It's
Yes.
such a great story that you could start with, read a page at a time or a chapter at a time. Sitting with your child and reading, not only is it great for language and comprehension, but it's also just a really good bonding experience as well. So the memories that a child will have from their reading with their family is priceless.
All right, well, I'm going to give Ella a chance to jump in and give me some of your favorites, and then we'll switch back and forth.
Well, I was going to say, because Rosemary brought a lot of my favorites too.
Right.
So luckily, like, we have it kind of divided and conquered.
Okay.
I'm going to move this. So I actually brought a type of book rather than a specific book.
Okay.
And the type of book that I brought are young readers editions.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have seen in the library is that a lot of families have really enjoyed reading the adult version of the book,
Yes.
but then wanted to talk to their kids about it, but not really known how to kind of make it
Right.
kid appropriate. So the library actually has a lot of these kind of like companion books.
Oh, wow.
Where the adult is reading the book, the kid is reading the book, but at the level that's appropriate for them. And then they can have the discussions about the book at the level that's appropriate for the family.
So almost like a family book club.
Yeah, almost like a family book club. So we have a few books like that. They also don't start. So I know that this young adult is this is a teen version.
Right.
But some books have easy versions as well. So this probably looks familiar.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so Hidden Figures, but as a picture book. So people are able to read that with their kids and kind of talk about the people that are in it. So I just love anything where, let me not block us. I just love anything that the subject is the same. So everyone is kind of getting the same subject, but
Excuse me.
but at a different level.
That's great. And now, what about you? That's a movie, obviously.
Yes.
People have the Hidden Figures movies out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do that at the library too?
Yes. So we have circulating DVDs and Blu-rays. And then we also currently have a documentary series. Now it is aimed for adults and teens. It's a documentary series where we meet the first Wednesday of the month. watch a documentary together and then kind of talk about it. But all of the films that we're watching are on Canopy, which is our streaming site, completely free with your library card too. So if people don't want to come to the program, they can watch the documentary on their own and then come to the discussion half.
I love it. I love it. So let's get to the rest of your stack.
Okay, so for the next age group, I also have picture books that can be read. This is called You Read to Me and I'll Read to You. Very short, scary tales. I figured I'd bring that today. But if you scan through the book, you'll see that there's an opportunity for both the parent and the child to take turns reading aloud.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
It's very clearly illustrated on each page which lines are for the child and which are for the adult, and so they can read together. And also, in another way of reading something very short, books of poetry. Shel Silverstein is a very famous and popular poet for his humorous poems. And so if you don't really have a routine yet, it's never too late, but you could always just start with like every night just reading a couple poems before bed and have that be your story time routine. And then as you progress, you can get into longer stories, chapters, things like that. But you can start small with just a poem.
And the schools still go through some of these books, like The Giving Tree and all those books are very familiar with people whose children have gone through the public school systems.
Right.
And, you just see some of the familiar titles and things like that.
And that's the thing. You can start with the books that you loved as a child. And you can use books that are in your native language. Read whatever feels comfortable for you, whatever you enjoy. When your child sees you reading as an adult, that will inspire their reading as well.
What else did you bring?
I brought, and you might remember this from childhood, Choose Your Own Adventure. That's a fun way to dialogue with your child about what they're reading. They can choose how the story is going to end. There's different plots in here, and you can pick which page to go to depending on what you think is going to happen next.
Oh, that's cool. Very nice.
And you will see a lot of kind of classics making their way back. So the Choose Your Own Adventures, we've just gotten a ton of. The Boxcar Children just got reprinted.
Yes.
So we just have that on the shelves. So a lot of those classics from childhood are being reprinted, a lot of them with discussion questions at the end already built in. And so they are kind of facilitating this dialogue.
I love it. Speaking of dialogue.
Well, this is the last one I brought. This is by Patty Kim. She's a local author. And so I thought that might be kind of fun too. Sometimes you pick a book just because you might know the author. And this is I'm Off. And it's a chapter book about a Korean American child that is a really fun read for any family. And
we actually had her speak at the library last year.
I know you do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So she came and spoke with us about the book and her other series, and it was great. We had a really great discussion at the end.
So you kind of do like the meet the author events and things like that. Well, I mean, this has been so fascinating for me. I learned so much, and my little granddaughter is going to be armed with books for Christmas, because you guys have given me some great options.
And again, you can just come to the library, scroll through, flip through them, see if there's something you want. And if you don't want it, just kind of put it back.
Kids love those board books. Those board books are very, very, I didn't even know that's what they're called, but they absolutely love those.
And I did just want to say for family literacy, not all families have children. We do have community reading events that we do at the library that are geared towards adults. So we have a community-led book discussion that meets monthly.
Oh, that's neat.
They choose their own books that they want to read over the year, and they meet monthly and discuss them. We participate every year in the One Maryland, One Book. So we usually have events focused around that and have books to give out for that. So there's a lot for adults as well.
Is there anything else I didn't ask that you want to share, since you have this wonderful audience listening in and watching us on Laurel TV?
Well, one thing that a lot of people are unaware of is that our website is full of online resources. So we've mentioned Canopy, which is a streaming website, but we also have electronic books. We have audio books. We have a workplace assistance, so people can learn how to improve their resume or interviewing skills. We have benefits for veterans on our website. There's just a lot of community resources and databases to help people. So feel free to come into the library anytime, and we can take you through even our website as well. So, and all of those things you can access from home with your library card.
That's good. So our goal with this podcast is to make every day Family Literacy Day. I want to thank you both for being with me today. And let's share some of those resources that we talked about. You mentioned your fabulous website. So if you would like some more information about what the Prince George's County Library System has to offer, their URL for their website is pgcmls.info. And then if you do a /events, that'll give you, that link will get you to all the fabulous events that the library system has planned. And now here's that number that you mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
There's an English and a Spanish a librarian that can help you if you call that number. The phone number is 240-455-5451. And then you said push number 2?
Number 2 for Biblioconsulta.
All right. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Laurel Community Spotlight. I'm Audrey Barnes. I want to thank Ella Alonso for being with us and Rosemary Shumley. Thank you for being with me. Crumley, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Miss
Thank
Crumley.
you so much for having us.
Thanks
Thank
for
you both.
having
It was
us.
so interesting. I learned so much today.
We are always so excited to talk about library resources at all times. So,
all right. Well, now they can listen to us as a podcast, and they can also watch it on Laurel TV. For those of you who are watching this on Laurel TV or listening to it on the radio more so, and your podcast, you can watch us on Laurel TV, which is Comcast 996 or 71 if you live within the city. Also on Verizon Channel 12. And then all of this content that we put on Laurel TV goes right up on our YouTube channel too. So it's Laurel TV official YouTube. Thank you both for being with us. Everybody, thank you for listening. And for those of you watching, we'll see you next time.